I can see that you're lit up right now.
Yeah.
Was there a moment where you thought that that transition was very, very scary for you?
Well, it's difficult. It's not easy. I'm assuming it's not easy for anyone doing that. It's gone down actually over since LEDs.
You know, we're talking about how union has been here, has been alive for more than 100 years. Since most businesses don't survive past 5 years, what does that actually take that no one really talks about?
Even the mistake is part of your journey. Like, you're meant to make that mistake. You're meant to experience everything. I think part of advice that I practice is you have to surround yourself with people who believe in you, people who want the best for you, and want to grow collaboratively.
You stood inside their work 100 times without even knowing it. The lights above you at the Trudeau Airport, the glow at the REM stations you pass through every single week. All of it is lit by one company. You see, while most family businesses don't survive past the third generation, the ones that do usually get frozen in time, running the same way they used to run 50 years ago, until the world decides to move on without them. Union is an exception. It started back with 6 brothers in 1914, and it has outlived almost every single company from its time. In 2019, Bram and Joanna bought it and took a century of business history onto their own shoulders. But then COVID shut the industry down.
Owning the business was scary, you know, because it was all on my shoulders, all on our shoulders.
They didn't survive by holding on to what already worked. They survived by being willing to change every time the world did. We'll sit down with the 2 people behind it to reveal what it truly takes to keep running a business past a century and what every single founder can learn from it.
First of all, I want to thank you. Thank you for being part of it. Is this the first time that we actually go on a podcast and have a talk about your story?
This is absolutely the first time.
Yeah?
Very excited. And thank you for being here.
What about you, Joanna?
Thank you. It's our first time there to tell our story, and we're excited to do that.
Have you ever told your story before?
Pieces of the story, never the whole story. Never about the process from when I was a kid and started in the business up until today.
I've told my story a lot, but not on camera, which it's not my comfort zone, but I definitely have shared my story a lot.
Cameras are there, but we're having a chat. Yeah, there you go. So, first question, Bram, take us back to 1992. Was union a choice, or was it something that you were forced to be part of?
Well, actually, it was a little before 92 that I started working part-time. And while I was in school, I used to come in on weekends and Thursday nights, and we were open Thursday nights, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays. And I used to come in and work part-time, and I worked in the retail component of the business. And I actually loved it. I loved talking to people and meeting people and strangers walking in and asking if I can help. So fast forward to 92, it was a really easy step for me to walk into the business at a full-time basis, a full-time process of what I understood the business. I had lots and lots and lots to learn, and I'm still learning, but it was a really, really exciting part of my life, and it was a choice. It was my choice.
Were there any qualities as an entrepreneur that came out at that early stage?
That's also a good question. Qualities. I felt that what I learned by being there part-time made me more entrepreneurial, because I would always ask questions and I would always strive to do something a little bit better. And the way, you know, it was a family business and I really had no say in doing anything. And I couldn't say, I think the business should run this way, or the counter should be more staffed, or the showroom should be less staffed. So me asking these questions and keeping it and was really an education for me. And that might have got my entrepreneurial spirits up and allowed me to continue on in that sense.
Who was leading the company at that time?
It was my uncle and my father. They were great, and they both worked in different parts of the business, and I looked up to them. But again, I was a nobody. I was a number in a big company with lots of employees, and I looked a lot, I listened a lot. I didn't really talk. Today I talk too much, but back then I listened too much, and that was very helpful.
Were there any types of early signs for them to say, you know what, Bram is gonna be the head of this business one day?
I don't think so. I had cousins. I had some other cousins and brothers, and there was a lot of family members at the time. So did they say he's gonna be the guy? I don't know if that was ever. I think they felt, because it was a family business, that if we grow the business and continuously grow it to the size that we want it to be, there'll be a spot for everybody. Mm-hmm. and we'll be able to, they'll figure out later on who's going to lead and who's going to run this division or that division.
And what about you, Joanna? Like you had a completely different path compared to Bram. What were those years like, and what finally brought you here?
I was busy. I worked before I had children, actually doing web design, interestingly enough, in 1996 at a company called Matrox, which was early on doing web design. Then I had 3 kids. I was a full-time mom. I looked after them. I did a lot of volunteer work. And as my kids got older, I was missing doing something with a purpose. Like I did not feel fulfilled. And it's hard for a woman to be able to make that break and find their way back into the workplace. It sort of all happened at the same time. When Bram and I bought out the rest of his family in 2019, I sort of, put my foot in here, or toe, at the very beginning and just was curious. I was actually really curious about the business, and it was a very long-standing business since 1914. I didn't really know much about it. I hadn't worked in years, and my strength really was people and understanding people and collaborating with people. So I slowly actually walked in here, and without knowing where I would be today, and one of the first things I did was almost like focus groups.
Focus groups in what sense? What do you mean by that?
When I did volunteer work or different things, I'm a learner. I'm a very behind the scenes person, not a comfortable on camera kind of person, but I love to
You're doing fantastic, by the way.
Thank you. I like to learn about my environment, learn about people, sort of understand what motivates people. And I said, you know what, let me come in here, look at this business, and just maybe interview people. Similar to what you're doing. I came up with a plan with 2 other women that I was doing outside sort of work with. And I came up with a series called In Real Life. And I brought people in to the showroom and just asked them about them, mainly designers or people that were creative. Could have been an artist, a cook, all kinds of people. And what stuck out was that Union had this longevity of experience, and people would tell me how they remembered coming here with their grandparents, or there was such a history here, and I wanted to know what I could do here to help the company evolve while still respecting its long-standing, it's an institution in Montreal. Not many businesses have been around that long. I didn't know my role at the time. I really learned what to do and sort of fit in and see what Union needed from me and what I then enjoyed doing. So I sort of created a role.
If we look back at, Joanna starting out her first business, right, in web design, right before Union, right, you told me that you had a business. How was it like being an entrepreneur, but also being a woman at the time?
So I didn't have a business. I was a young graduate from McGill who worked for a long-standing company actually in Montreal. And I worked there for 10 years up until I had 3 kids, and I tried to have that balance of working from home. Back then, not many people worked from home. I worked a little bit from home. I worked in the office, and I kept it going until it was just overwhelming to try and do it all. I'm not a great balance person to begin with, so I do think that is a struggle for women today, is to find a sense of balance, yet to be able to feel inspired and excited about what they're doing.
How was that moment when you 2 met? Were you guys already in that entrepreneurial mindset, or was it something that just came a couple of years later,
I wasn't, because I was working for a big company. Like, I wasn't an entrepreneur, and I was working for another company, a nice business in Montreal, but I wasn't, maybe I had an entrepreneurial spirit growing, but I was starting to learn at that time of what I like to do. I knew I was not a product person. I was a people person.
Yeah, I don't think I had that. It evolved my entrepreneurial spirit, as she said. When we first met, it was, again, I was a number in a big company. I wasn't a decision maker. I kind of was pushed away from not making decisions because there were so many chiefs and so many cousins and so many family members. So I think it was brewing inside of me, and really, at the end of the day, when I became the owner, when we became the owners, that's when I was allowed to really show my entrepreneurial spirit and choices and made all these decisions. But prior to that, a lot was held inside. I didn't have the opportunity as I would have liked to. I had lots of suggestions over the years. I've now been able to do, and you when you're your own boss, you get to be able to do all that kind of stuff. So I would say that when we met, I wasn't very entrepreneurial. I had ambitions to become, and it evolved, and I became entrepreneurial.
When you bought out the family in 2019 and it became just the two of you, what did that moment actually felt like?
It was overwhelming because for years, like I said, I did not work in the business, but I think Bram always had big ideas. It was, in a lot of ways, when you're with so many other people and not the easiest thing, I think he had to hold on to those ideas and almost suppress them. So I think when we were at that point, when everything was finalized and we had the business, you also then had to tread carefully, respecting the history of the business and the employees that worked here, and figuring out how to evolve a business that has been around so long. And it was also right prior to COVID, which also didn't make things easy. We didn't have a website. We were really not a digital company at the time. We did not have a lot of, and this is all things that I learned about the company. So I came into a company that didn't necessarily have a lot of standardization. It didn't have a website. And those were all things that were really needed, in my opinion, to survive and succeed post-COVID.
It was scary. I was in a business where, whether it was good or bad, there was a support from everybody. There was a lot of family members, there's a lot of owners. Really, I didn't know at the time if the success was because of me or because of all of us. Or so owning the business was scary, because it was all on my shoulders, all on our shoulders. But it was a great scary. That's when that entrepreneurial stuff came in and kicked in, and you have to survive, right? Your survival skills, and it was great. It was a great time of our lives. In my life, I was able to make all the decisions I wanted to make, and here we are many years later, and things are still going very well. The plan is to continue to evolve and to build the business into what I think it could be. And I think there's no end to what we could do.
What are the biggest challenges that you talked about when, you decided to forge your own path with the upcoming years of union?
I guess biggest challenges, and probably for most people, is in your employees, your personnel, and having great people. And we did not always have great people, and we still have the ability to get more great people. You really need to surround yourself with people that believe in your ideas, because just telling someone to do something doesn't really make them do it or make it succeed. You need to find people that understand where you want to go. And we've been very fortunate. We have some superstars, and I'm always looking, and I have ideas and departments, and we try to diversify that. I just won't do it until I find the right person that'll fit in that place.
What was the biggest difference between how you guys were leading back then and now?
Well, in 2019, we had what we had, and we just took over, and we kind of pushed and taught people our philosophies and the way we felt the business would go. We did a lot of changes. We went after different types of customers and different types of businesses that we went after. Even, with Joanna with the e-com, and how that just kind of started then. What happened just happened. But today, we're pushing the traffic. We're pushing the people to do, everybody is with us and behind us. And it's not just our decisions, it's everybody's decisions. We actually have nice meetings and discussions about what we think should happen as a team, not as just the two of us. We want to evolve into construction sites, or we want to evolve more in building, or more retail stores, or more this, and we'll have these discussions, and everyone will give their opinion. And I think back then, we didn't really listen to everyone's opinion. And today maybe because of the good people that we're surrounded with, we really like to hear everyone's opinion.
What is the story of Union?
So Union was founded in 1914. What happened was, one of my grandfather's oldest brother came over from Europe. He came here and he started a company called the Star Gas and Electric Company. And what they did was they changed filaments in old Montreal. They changed the street lights. There wasn't really the electricity everywhere, so everything was gas. He would make a couple dollars. He would send money back. Another brother would come. There were 7 brothers.
7 brothers.
And when they all got here, they changed the name to Union, and they were all united, which is a beautiful story. And that's how the name Union came to to this world. And then from there, they never turned back. And over time, a lot of people, some brothers and their families would move out of the country, or they would move all around the world. And it wound up being, for many years, about four families. And then it went down to 3 families in the 60s. They moved here in 1954 into this premise on Décarie, where there was no Décarie expressway.
So why Décarie though?
Well, it was they needed a building, and they needed land to build a building, and this is where the next piece of land was in the city. And they took a big shot, and they borrowed money, and they mortgaged, and they did that. And at that point, some of the families left because they weren't sure it would be a success. Here we are today, and it became oceanfront property, as we have the Décarie Expressway in front of us. And I think a big success, and as smart as we are, the location is a great location. And it's right in the center of the city, from the South Shore to the North Shore to the West Island. And it's very helpful in the customers with parking, where most retailers today don't have parking. So that's the evolution of how Union started and where we are today.
You told me that in 1992 you had to make a decision that would, change everything. Walk us through what was the biggest pivot of the company's story so far.
Well, the decision that was made in 1992 was, pre-1992, we were a full-line distributor, electrical distributor, which means we sold lighting, of course, but we also sold wire and breakers and panels and transformers and everything electrical. In 1992, we pivoted to become strictly a lighting supplier, lighting distributor. So what happened in 92, which was very scary, because a lot of our volume was selling lots and lots of wire and panels and breakers, and we really wanted to concentrate on national retail stores when they open new stores, to supply them the lighting, to restaurants, to just lighting. So we went after a lot of specifiers and architects and designers and specified a lot of our products. And what happened was we became the only distributor that has all the brands of lighting. And that didn't happen overnight. It took many years, and a lot of suppliers and manufacturers that weren't selling to us came running to us because we were the guys specifying the lighting. So we built a brand for ourselves. We built a niche in this big world, in this big market of full line electrical distributors, where we're the only ones. We have lots of competition, but there's no one else has all the lines and brands that we have. So it was. I knew it would work, but it took many years to build itself up and to where we are today.
Was there a moment where you thought that transition was very, very scary for you?
I don't know if I ever looked backwards and was ever nervous about it. I guess I knew in the back of my head I can always go back to where we were and somehow start bringing back some of those manufacturers, which still today they ask us if we want to distribute their product.
Do you guys consider yourselves as people that are passionate about lighting?
I think I am very passionate about lighting. I love it. Yeah. I love it. I think, what changed since I started, and certainly since 92, is that LED lighting is, it was at its infamousy at that time. And today the whole world is LED. What that means to me is that the whole world has to be relamped or redone. And everything we've done for the first 100 years, okay, you can throw out now. We got to start replacing them with all this LED, and it's just the evolution of our business. It's a great business. It's exciting. It's always changing. And from the old screw-in light bulbs, I mean, they don't make them anymore. They just don't make those A19 incandescent light bulbs anymore. So everyone who has one, and the whole world has them, needs to change them to LED. And my goal is to change everybody's light bulbs to LED.
What about you, Joanna?
I'm not a technical person, but I would say I've learned to become passionate on how I see trends, and even from fashion, how they turn up into lighting. So I go to a lot of the shows, whether they're in the US or Europe. Lighting has really changed, and it really can change your entire room. Not only do we have lighting, we have hardware, as you see, we have furniture, we do decor. So I actually think the world of home decor is super exciting. I love working with the designers that do collaborations with our brands. So the whole world of home decor has changed so much. I would say when it started with Studio McGee, so they were one of the first people to do a series on Netflix. We've worked with also June Motel, who also did a series on Netflix, and designers and and a lot of women designers are going into these home decor and building collaborations with brands, whether it's Visual Comfort or Laloy, Maxim ET2. So what's Hudson Valley? It's just wonderful to see the evolution. I'm not great at all the technical stuff, but I love seeing the people behind the lighting and how all of fashion and trends have really entered the home.
And the impact, right? Because I see that in Bram, you have like that technical passion, right? But Joanna, you have that, the home decor, the, how can I say it? The way lighting makes your room feel like home, right? And also, I think lighting is a huge part of someone's house, right?
Absolutely. So it's a huge part of everybody's life, really. You know, whether it's a house, a restaurant, a store. You know, I think it's the most important part of the whole marketing of whatever you're selling.
Yeah, I think we should give people a proper quick tour of the store after, because there's so many great garments, so many great products right here that I personally came here the first time and I was shocked. I was blown away with the amount of different. Yeah, I was lit up, literally. Exactly. Joanna, when you came in after 2019, you decided to hop on the train, right? What was the honest reality of what you found at the time?
So I don't think I decided to hop on the train.
You didn't?
No. I think I came in here, took a little bit of a peek. I hadn't been in the showroom in a very long time. I just sort of observed different things. I sort of looked around. I really didn't know a lot about the business. I hadn't worked here. But the whole point of I guess some of the answer to the question is that I am a person, I do not have balance. So once I came in, which was like 2 hours a day and then 3 hours a day, all of a sudden it became a full-time role.
But what do you mean with not having balance?
Like I'm all in or I'm not in. So I don't know how to shut down on something I'm passionate about. I do that with a lot of facets of life. I like to really do things completely. It excites me to be all in. I enjoy it. It is definitely a weakness to not have balance. I've been saying it's from day one that I would try to find some, but I think that is an entrepreneurial spirit too, because you constantly keep wanting to do more and you constantly want to keep bringing more people on your journey because it is contagious. I get really excited by what I'm doing. This was not my birthright. It was Bram's in a sort of speaking. I never thought I would enjoy this. I really didn't. I was looking for something to do that had meaning and purpose. I tried it in all different areas. Like I said, being a mother obviously was, and still is, a very rewarding, probably the hardest job of life, and something I think being a parent can almost prepare you for anything. Being a parent is a very hard role, and I think transitioning from being a full-time parent, I mean you're always a full-time parent, but that being your full existence, to finding something for you to do beyond that, collaborate with adults and people who share similar visions and ideas, and maybe they're not the same, but they just have a similar mindset. That was very exciting for me. It still is exciting for me. It keeps me going every single day on how to grow the business.
Do you guys ever have some limiting beliefs regarding business and relationships, like as a couple? Because there's this stigma around being on, like, working on a business and also being with your partner. How was that for you guys?
Well, it's difficult. It's not easy. I'm assuming it's not easy for anyone doing that. The day-to-day, we don't work in the same office. Okay. We're actually across the halls from each other, which is helpful. But the business is with us 24/7. So we discuss on the car, on the ride, to out for dinner, at dinner, for breakfast, for lunch, and all the time. So it's complicated, but it's necessary. You can't just completely shut it off.
He tries though. I could talk about business.
You can try. You could talk about it.
I now see it. It's really like I said, when I'm in something, it's part of my life. I mean, everything I do, I don't know how to compartmentalize. Some people are very good at that. I'm not. So this is just one more part of my life, and I could talk about it the same way I talk about something else all the time. It's somehow, it sort of weaves its way in. And he has been doing this a lot longer than me, so I do. I understand that, but he definitely likes to try and tune off sometimes because he needs to relax. So he wishes I did, and I guess we
get through it.
But I will say that when I did come here, there was no expectation from either of us. So Bram really gave me carte blanche to do anything that I wanted. There was complete trust on both sides because I didn't even know what I was doing. I was exploring, discovering, learning. He didn't teach me anything either. I had to learn everything on my own, which was probably the best way to do it. So I really, he was busy running the company and I was busy sort of saying like, what could I be doing here? How can I strengthen the company?
How can I
bring standardized processes? And trying to work with the employees, many of who were here for decades, and they had to learn to trust me. So
how was that for you?
I listened a lot. I asked a lot of questions. That's my personality. I learned by listening. And even today, I have a team that I've made over the last 6 years, which is an incredible team. I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't be able to do anything without the team. I hire people who love to learn and who are curious and can adapt. I mean, to me, skill is not the end all be all. You have to have the right attitude and mindset. And I came in here to learn from people, and I thank them because they taught me, the suppliers taught me, the customers taught me. I couldn't have learned it without all of the help that I had. I'm very grateful to them every day, and I still learn every day.
It's very important, right, to be able to trust those around you, because you trusted Joanna to find her own way of contributing to the vision, and she figured out.
I was a good guy by giving her carte blanche, but I was a bad guy for not teaching her anything.
Exactly.
But she did a good job by herself.
But she did. That's what matters, right?
That was my plan.
What's we're talking about how union has been alive for more than 100 years. Since most businesses don't survive past 5 years, what does that actually take that no one really talks about?
I've only been in charge of it for so many years, so I can't take credit for the first 100 or so. But I think it's really, you always have to be on your toes. You have to look outside the box. You have to see what's happening in the world. The economy is not always great, but because of our diversification that we've done over many years, and a lot I will take credit for, diversifying into different departments, from the hardware to the AV to home automation to different categories of types of stores that we cater to. You're never going to get everything running at 100% because of the economy, because of what's happening in the world, because of wars, because of construction or multifam, that's condos are not selling and rentals aren't selling. Because we're so diversified and we do so many things, we don't need everything to run at 100%. So we could push people to, let's do more national retail stores because that's the trend today. Or let's do more schools because last year or just past COVID, after COVID, the government was injecting a lot of money into schools and we were supplying lighting for schools. Lots of big schools were being renovated and opening and so forth. That's not today. There's no schools being renovated today, but it doesn't affect us because we already pivoted to the next industry or category that's doing well. In the last couple of years, the REM stations, for example, in Montreal, and we were involved in a lot of that, government-funded projects in that sense. So to continue on for the next 100 years, and hopefully there will be another 100 years, we just have to really see what the trends are, see what people need. Union is a name, but it doesn't mean just lighting. We could sell anything, and of course, we want to stay in our category, but we need to keep evolving. And that's I think the key to the success or the longevity moving forward.
When you talked about working with the REM, what has been the biggest project that you guys have been part of so far?
We do a lot of projects of that magnitude. I mean, the REM is certainly one of the big ones. We do a lot of projects. We've opened one of the ideas, or one of the diversification is I opened an office in the United States in Florida about 12 years ago. And that business does a lot of hotels, a lot of multifam, a lot of condos, and it's evolved into a lot of the United States. In terms of dollars, I don't think I want to mention the size in dollars, but the latest REM that we're doing now is the ADM, Airports de Montreal, which is probably one of the biggest stations and one of the biggest lighting jobs that we've been involved in the past. We have another project in the United States. It's a whole complex, so it's actually been 3 years, so it's probably more in dollars than this REM is. It's just exciting just leaving your mark. Like some people, I always thought that a builder must be so excited after he finishes a house and that's his legacy forever, even if he doesn't live there. You know, so now I feel that this is my legacy. Like I've lit up the airport of Montreal and the REM station. And we have done some boutiques and stuff in the airport as well. But these are my legacies. Like this is stuff that I'm leaving behind. You know, and that to me is cool.
I can see that you're lit up right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's very very interesting. What about you, Joanna? How was like just figuring out that you guys were going to be part of such a big project? How was that moment for you?
Well, it's always exciting, and it's exciting to learn about the project. So obviously the REM is very helpful to so many people. Knowing that we're helping people to commute and have a better commute, and knowing that we're part of a really significant, you know, innovative project in Quebec is wonderful.
It is. And you came in with a little bit of like a storytelling, right? A different approach in a transactional world that a lot of people were used to, right? Businessmen from the past decades were thought differently, right? What were you seeing with that marketing lens of yours that others weren't at the time?
I guess when I started here, property telling was not as impactful or as a big day. I felt that we could, you know, spotlight people and give them a chance to tell their story, that even if they were already an influencer, already had a mark, nobody knew who they were. And I really think that if you sit down with someone for 5 minutes or an hour, however long it is, and you listen to them speak, I found it so exciting to learn about people. And when we did that project, I always met with the people beforehand so that the person doing the interview could always add different, you know, components to it to really have that person shine. I just thought it would give them a chance to expose themselves, and somehow we found a way to sort of weave union through them. I really didn't know how the project would go until I started it, and it sort of progressed with time, which I'm sure is how, you know, your interviews work. You can't start anything in a box. Like you have to have an open-ended mind and see where people really start open-minded, and you listen to people. Their own experience and journey is going to fulfill the message you want.
That's an interesting take right there. I've never heard that. If you could go back to 1992 again and talk to that version of you that just stepped into the family business, right? You decided to take the reins of it. What would younger Bram need to hear?
I guess, you know, I mentioned to you that when I first came in, I was just another number. I was just another guy in the big bowl and in a big business with a lot of family members and a lot of employees. And I may or may not have had that entrepreneurial spirit building inside. I probably should have been more active and let my ideas come out more instead of sitting back and waiting to be allowed to make decisions. I think it was always in me, and I always probably went home at the end of the day, I should have done this, I should have done that, and I didn't. Whether I was scared to do it or afraid to do it, I don't know. But if I could go back, I think I would have been where I am today 10 years before, because I would have done all the same stuff, but I would have done it a lot earlier, which would allow me more years later to continuously building. But like, I think I was held back, and it just slowed down the progress, or I should have started running instead of walking as soon as I had the opportunity.
Speed is everything, right?
Absolutely.
Especially in business. Absolutely. If you don't move fast, someone's going to take that spot.
I mentioned, and just one small, I mentioned to my partners at the time, my cousins, my family, 10 years before I started the U.S. business, that we should do this in the U.S. And they said, no, it's never going to work, just too much competition. And then when I had the ability to do it, it's been there for 12 years. It's been one of my biggest success stories. They held me back, but I also didn't push. I wasn't strong enough at the time. And I think time made me stronger and allowed me to make those decisions faster. But again, if I can go back in time, I would be running every day, not walking.
And what about you, Joanna?
I think it's a great question. You know, I tell my kids, and I talk to myself a lot inside my head. I'm not an out loud talker. Every day is a journey. Like really every single day is a journey. I've learned we have all made mistakes, but even the mistake is part of your journey. Like you're meant to make that mistake. You're meant to experience everything. I think part of advice that I practice is you have to surround yourself with people who believe in you, people who want the best for you, and want to grow collaboratively. Like I look at the team and people that I surround myself with, that they want to work with you. You know, there's a common respect. It's not, I don't like being in a competitive environment. I actually don't do well in a competitive environment. I do well in a collaborative environment where everybody has a seat at the table, can share their feedback and learn how to improve together. I think when you are in your 20s and your 30s, even your 40s and your 50s, I only started this probably in my 40s. So that's not young, right? But it is young. It has to be the mindset. You have to be willing to make mistakes. You have to be humble. I mean, you're not going to start anything being perfect. And I actually don't think anyone is perfect at any degree. So you have to trust people and try and constantly teach them and learn from them at the same time. It's really trying to find that balance. And every day I say, how can I learn from people? I want to learn. I don't want to stop learning. I think every day I wake up, and if I could learn, 10 new things a day, I feel somewhat fulfilled.
Accomplished.
I want to learn more, because you know what? We only have so much time on this earth, and you have to discover what makes you happy, and you have to surround yourself with people that bring you happiness too. Maybe discomfort. Discomfort is a hard thing with growth, because I have done a few things that I knew would be discomforting, and we don't need to talk about them, but it did help me grow, because you can't grow without those challenges and being sometimes around people that don't agree with you. You can't always be with people who agree with you, because that would just be too easy.
You ask the question, you get the answer.
I'm getting very hot in here.
No, I'm okay, thank you. I'm okay, thank you.
I'm just gonna ask you one question that you told me that a lot of people have been asking you. How much do you guys pay on hydro?
Yeah, the hydro story. Everyone asks me that question. How much is your hydro bill every year? Well, it's gone down actually since LEDs, because there's a lot less wattage in the showroom. But our hydro bill is approximately $20,000 a month. That's a lot of dollars spent to keep our lights on. We turn them all off at night except for the windows. However, the only benefit from that is the air conditioning doesn't run as much as it used to, because the air conditioning also, because
Really?
It used to be so hot in the showroom that the air conditioning would be running like all the time, 24 all year. And now, because LEDs are less hot and less cool, it doesn't run as much. But regardless, it's the same thing in the opposite. We have to heat our showroom now in the winter time. We never did before, because the light bulbs were so hot. So LED has helped out in that sense. But again, $250,000 a year for electricity is a lot of money.
And the last question for you too. For a young couple who wants to start a business venture together, what would be your biggest piece of advice?
Listen, it's what we didn't discuss when Joanna came into the business with me, is that it's a full-time job, whether you're at the office or at home. And of course you can't do that all the time. There has to be a balance. I'm not really sure what the balance is. I haven't figured it out yet. Complicated, but in order for it to succeed, it's nothing is easy, and you make it work. You just have to have that communication. And when you don't like something that's heard, you have to forget about it after. And don't take it, don't sleep with it, or don't hang on to it forever. That would be my little bit of advice. But when I figure it out, I'll give you. We could do another podcast. Okay. There you go.
So I think it's very much like marriage. Hold on, wait for them to stop. Okay. I honestly think being in business together, I asked Bram a lot of questions when we got married. Maybe I should have. If a couple has strong, similar values, and the end of the day, they have that deep commitment to each other, they won't fail. Like, they may fail, but they'll fail together. As long as they don't blame each other, or there's negative things between the couple, I think that what we could do more probably is as Bram says, praise each other, give each other stickers. I like stickers. I like to know sometimes when I'm doing a good job. Who doesn't? He doesn't like that. But I think, no. I think the overall person likes to know that they're doing a good job. And sometimes you have to tell them maybe when they could do a better job. So I think, talking about those things, that's part of marriage, right? So
it's on my list, though.
It's on his list.
Let me know when you
Yeah. He's gonna,
right,
or just start doing it. Right? But I think having respect for each other, and and if you have that common ground, and you have each other's back, I do feel as much as he didn't teach me or maybe guide me, I think he had my back. I think I impressed him a little bit. He impresses me. I don't tell him either. So I really think that he didn't have the ability to do it because there were so many other people around. And I think now he has the chance to shine, because Bram was always, in my family, he was always Bram, I know a guy Naimer. He knew everybody. I've learned a lot from Bram over the years. He's really helped me grow as a person. And I think if you can be in a relationship with a partner or a marriage or a business, and they could help you grow and be your best self and still help you when you're not your best self, what could be better?
Wow. It was a nice closing.
It was a really nice.
I got a couple stickers there. Thanks for your time. It was very nice. It really was.
Thank you.
You were excellent. You made it very
great.
easy.